Good evening, everyone. I'm Makush Lapinder. It's good having you back with us. The Bahamas National Commission on Marijuana may miss its August deadline. That, according to co-chair Quinn McCartney, who says that while the commission's working to meet that time frame, there's no guarantee it actually will. The commission hopes to visit Jamaica and Canada on a fact-finding mission next month.
Certainly, a lot of the information gathering that we want to do in the Bahamas would have been done. And so the visits to Canada and Jamaica just to supplement and sort of help us solidify our report. So we're trying to get the hard work done by the end of August for sure. But certainly that's not the deadline that we anticipate having the report.
And that report's expected to be done no later than the last quarter.
Because, we don't want to rush the process. Some countries have taken 18 months or longer to do this whole thing that we're trying to do in less than a year. So we want to give it the time that's needed to it, but we want to make sure that it's comprehensive and it's reflective of the needs of the Bahamian public, and it's a recommendation that will be best suited for the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
After a total of 6 town meetings, Mr. McCartney says he finds there's an overwhelming support for medical marijuana.
And I think, what persons seem to be cautious to say, make sure there's proper regulation and proper procedures in place, so that there's no potential for it. But certainly from what we've seen, from what we are hearing from members of the public, there seems to be a great support for medical use, for sure.
The Commission plans to launch a massive PR campaign in hopes of pulling more Bahamians to its town meetings. Well, they've put it out there. The local LGBTI community is advocating for a Pride Week that they hope will come together for June 2020. And although the event will not include members of the LGBTI community engaging in pride parades as seen in the U.S. and parts of Europe, the group does intend to launch Pride Bahamas during the next Bahamas Jcntvnews Festival. Well, senior pastor of Kingdom Life Church, Cedric Moss, has something to say about that. While the community, he says, may be sincere in what it wishes to achieve, that is sensitizing Bahamians to the homosexual community, it's immoral and degrading.
But I think the larger issue is for the Bahamas government to decide, how are we going to live in shared space? You're free to go on your own property, out of sight, and do whatever you want to do, but you're not free to come in the public streets and assault the sensibilities of the general public. So I think the government needs to rethink the whole carnival issue and how they are giving permits to people to conduct themselves in degrading and sexually vulgar manners in the streets. And I just think that's absolutely wrong.
Pastor Moss says he cannot see how one kind of sexual immorality and debauchery can be facilitated in public, adding that the only benefit of the LGBTI's plans for Pride Bahamas is having the opportunity to rethink what's being done with Carnival, abandoning the need for licenses and permits to those who conduct themselves in a manner that is indecent and contrary to the laws of public decency. Still, he acknowledges the community is free to do as it wants in private in a democratic society.
They're free to propagate what they believe. The Constitution gives them that freedom. What they're not free to do is get in the streets and obstruct the public and assault the sensibilities of the general public. That's what they're not free to do. I don't want them to, I don't want Carnival to assault the sensibilities of myself and others who object to that. And see, the problem with it is, I could see if I was in the minority. If I was in the minority, then that's just the way the democracy works. But what we know is the overwhelming majority of Bahamians do not support that kind of vulgarity and nudity in our streets, Carnival and the so-called Pride.
Leading environmental groups have gotten some serious backing in their continued push to dissuade Disney from pursuing its multi-billion-dollar plans for a lighthouse point in South Eleuthera. Standing shoulder to shoulder with them is New York-based organization Waterkeepers Alliance, who today launched a new digital campaign, the focus of which is a new website, stopdisney.com. The website argues that there are plenty of places in the Bahamas where Disney can dock its cruise ships, but there is only one lighthouse point. Now, Executive Director of Waterkeepers Alliance, Mark Yagi, believes Disney needs to do more than just through a minimal government process in the Bahamas. It needs to, he says, seriously consider the environmental, economic, and social cost of its proposed cruise port. Environmentalists are calling on Disney to commit to preserving Lighthouse Point for current and future generations by finding a more suitable alternative site for its cruise ships. The Stop Disney website has an online petition. At last count, it had secured nearly 2,000 signatures and climbing steadily. But Disney today reaffirmed its commitment to only move forward with the Lighthouse Point if they can do so in an environmentally responsible manner. The statement added that the company's internal team of experts is working closely with Bahamians and other experts to develop a comprehensive environmental impact assessment and environmental management plan that aligns with the country's deep and long-standing commitment to the environment. Disney adds that once the EIA, which is based on more than a year of field work and analysis, is submitted, it will be reviewed by the government and made available for public consultation. There is also the renewed commitment that Disney will develop less than 20% of the property, employing sustainable building practices, including an open trestle pier that eliminates the need to dredge a ship channel, establishing environmental monitoring programs during construction and operation, and donating more than 190 acres of privately owned land, including the southernmost point, to the government, conservation and public use, among other commitments. The racial and homophobic slur reportedly spewed by Water and Sewerage Corporation's Director Bennett Menes has been brought to the attention of his boss, Public Works Minister Desmond Bannister, who says he's ordered an investigation into the matter. Mr. Bannister added that a decision on the way forward will be considered following its results. The voice note tirade targeted Progressive Liberal Party leader Philip Davis and party chairman Fred Mitchell. Mr. Mitchell yesterday called for the WSC director's resignation, labeling him a man with a filthy mouth and a nasty mind. Mr. Mitchell explained that his party took a delegation to Long Island the day after independence to meet with PLP supporters and to pay tribute to its founder. According to the speaker behind the voice note, had he known the PLP was in town, they would have delegated a group to put a blockade at the entrance to Clarence Town. He went on to castigate the party as corrupt, thieving, no-good bastard, homosexual, and African monkeys. Well, Mr. Mitchell has called on the governing party to say whether it agrees black people are monkeys. When contacted for comment, here's the curt response Mr. Menes gave our Leah Cooper.
What the hell? Miss Cooper, okay? Go to hell.
Again, the matter is being investigated. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.
This segment of the news was brought to you by Alive.